I needed to raise some money. I had nothing. When Dragon's Den aired, I ended up selling out of them immediately. Only way I've been able to survive this long is a slow and steady approach and not jumping at every opportunity. I look at them and I look at their story of success and I go, oh my gosh, if she can do that, then that means I can do that.
Right. Well, Zoe, welcome to the Small Business Sessions. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to hear the story of the Whizzer, which is your portable, eco-friendly toilet.
It is indeed.
Which we will talk a lot about. So, Zoe, let's start at the beginning. Always the best place to start. Where did it all begin? How did it happen?
Well, in 2020, we were just coming out of the pandemic. I'd just had spinal surgery that was really life-changing for me before the pandemic, and I'd been recovering. I was like, what is it that I feel like I had always wanted to do but never had the chance to? At the same time, an email had come up from my council saying they were doing a free business course. I was like, okay, right, well, I've had this invention that I'd designed all the way back in 2015 when I was potty training my son and looking after my dad who was disabled. And it was for a toilet, a portable toilet. There was nothing around. I struggled every single day with a pair of them. My son had a hormone deficiency as well, so he was frequently needing the toilet. And there was just nothing leak-proof, nothing portable, nothing compact, nothing discreet. And definitely nothing eco-friendly that doesn't use plastic. So at the time I was like, can I do this? And let me just do this business course and see where it takes me. And I just wanted to make the most of like being pain-free finally and even giving it a go to show my son that, well, this is where we've come from. And I want you to know that you can always give anything a go. So I guess that was when it is, 2020. I started bringing those ideas and the designs to life. Single-handedly, had no money, no grants, investments. I couldn't get anything because essentially I was just a single mum living in a council flat, which was super high risk for anyone wanting to lend me money.
Yeah.
So I just had to go through everything a very different way. Yeah, going into my 5th year of business now, a lot has happened since then.
Amazing. There's so much we could talk about. So from that idea that, I'm now going to do it, and you said, you haven't got the money and stuff. How did you? Because, your thing is a product. It's got to be manufactured. It's got to be manufactured well because it's, it's an intimate thing that it's being used for, and it's kids as well. So how did you actually go about, to summarize how you ended up getting it manufactured? How did you do that?
So I'd say, and this is one of the things I always say, network is key. So although I didn't have a network, I grew a network. So I'm one of those people that I will talk to anyone and everyone just because I love learning about people anyway. Quite early on, I'd made quite a few friends that have gone on to now have very successful businesses. Some have sold them, etc. But at the time, they were all quite early on in their business, and one of them was about to appear on Dragon's Den, and she had a silicone product. I knew I wanted to make the product out of silicone, so I reached out to her, and she gave me the contact details for her factory. I was just super, super lucky because the factory owner was amazing, so supportive. He knew I had no money, but he could see how much determination I had. So he essentially helped me bring it to life all the way from China with no, I'd already been burnt a few times with anything to do with that. So I knew that when I had a manufacturer that I could trust, and that relationship just grew and grew. He's continued to be really understanding in terms of money and getting the funds to him. I don't think any other factory potentially would have been able to be that supportive. So partly luck and finding that, but partly and network 100%. And that's been throughout my journey. I've used that growing network and I've always given as much as I've got within that and supported other people because I know how important that is.
Is that an advice you'd give to other people? Like, if looking for a manufacturer on a budget, is contacts.
100%. Like, when it does come to a product-based business, you've got to understand the initial setup costs. So I think people underestimate just how much you need. Overall, I spent £40,000 in debt just to get my manufacturing molds and the first products made.
Right.
And for someone that doesn't even own a house, And yeah, like I said, couldn't even get a loan from the bank. I pulled that off miraculously, but that's not something you can take lightly. That's not something I would encourage someone to do unless you understand the risks and you have enough things in place where it's always going to be a risk. I cannot believe that I took that much of a risk now when I reflect upon it. But had it not been for the network that I was continually growing, had it not been for all of the business courses that I was constantly on throughout the entire journey, Enterprise Nation, I joined very early on, which gives you a host, like a world of contacts in itself. And so, yeah, that's...
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to ask you about Enterprise Nation, because obviously you're someone we've known in the community for like a long time. And I always say with membership things, it's like what you put in as well as what you get out of it. You know, a lot of people join a thing and kind of sit there and wait to be contacted. But, you know, being an active member of a community, then the community itself, and you've entered all sorts of things, and that's how you've ended up on the podcast, because you're an active member. So you want to talk a bit about how maybe Enterprise Nation has helped?
Yeah, so first, it was very early on in my journey. I had a friend from a business course that had put me forward for Female Startup of the Year. And I don't even know if I even had a fully working product on sale at that point at all. I think I was still really early on.
Yeah.
But by the time I'd been told, oh, you've been shortlisted, I'm like, okay. And then I started looking into Enterprise Nation. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to know. And then that's how it started. So that was very early on. That was literally 2021 when I first launched the business. And by the end of the year, I was pitching in a Dragon's Den style pitch to Emma Jones, and gosh, there were so many people there. You, of course.
I was there.
And then that was kind of the pinch me moment, the first pinch me moment, when I remember getting to Bristol and being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, is someone made a mistake here? And then after that, I mean, I've done loads of lunch and learns, so many, well, just being as a member, but also speaking on them. We've done loads of, the startup show.
Yep.
Oh my God, that was like critical every year to me. I would be logging on when it was virtual and then being there, I had to be very meticulous about all the talks I went to. So again, another pinch me moment where I've done 2 now for you guys the last 2 years, and to know how important just that one event was for my business journey. Like, it's things like that when you have to reflect and be like, every year you're like, I'm on the next step of my journey than what I was the last time I attended. So yeah, Enterprise Nation has been right from the beginning.
Amazing. So back to you've got that product and you said you launched it. How many did that's another thing as well. I mean, how many do I have to buy? How many do I have to get from the factory? That's like a common question. So
yeah. So I manufacture in the thousands.
Right.
So per color, I was told I needed to manufacture 1,000 per color.
Right.
So I started with just 3 colors, which again, most people, I remember people saying you shouldn't start with so many colors, and I'm like, but I can't pick one. And bearing in mind, I started with a kids product as well. So that was 250 milliliters. So that was my first mold, 3 colors, started with that. And they sold quickly. And so yeah, the business was called Kiddie Whiz because it was a product for kids. And it was only as the time went on where mums would say, you really need to do a bigger size. I'm using my kids one and I really need an adult one. Then I'd get people, especially people going camping. And then things like disability started coming into play, and I started learning more about how much this product was needed. And obviously, as a carer to my dad that had driven the idea in the first place, I was aware of the need. I just didn't know how feasible it would be. So instead of, I know a lot of people might be faced with something and be like, oh my God, I can create this, I can do this, I can do that. It's like that with any business, not even just a product-based business. Like, I see so many people that have opportunities in front of them, but they'll be grabbing so many that they lose focus on the one main thing that they need to prioritize. because when you're juggling way too many balls, which you always will be anyway, regardless,
Yep.
then that's definitely one of the things I've noticed can really set you back. So I waited a really long time before I launched the adult version. I knew it was needed. And I was only just before I was appearing on Dragon's Den where I needed to raise like funds quickly, just to make it onto the point where the show was going to air, to make sure I even had stock to sell when it did air.
Yeah.
I needed to raise some money. I had nothing. And so I pre-launched the adult version. And when Dragon's Den aired, I ended up selling out of them immediately. And I now sell, that was in 2023, and I now sell way more adult products than kids ones now, despite the fact that kids use them from potty training and up. But yeah, the adult ones been the most popular.
Amazing. Just before we get on to the den, before you entered that den, went in that lift, which I know doesn't really go up and down. I've given that away. Sorry, I've been told that before on this show, but I think it's okay.
Never spoil that.
Sorry. We might keep that in. So when you said when you first started selling, you said they sold. Was that on your own? Was that your own website? Did you just put them on your website?
Yeah. So I started on a Shopify store.
Right.
I kind of changed it slightly and adapted it all in-house so that I could manage everything myself. The stock was in my living room, and it was literally like, I remember at the beginning switching the website on the 17th of February, and I hadn't slept for days to try and get, because I wanted that date because it was the date of the anniversary of my dad's passing.
Right, okay.
So I'm like, it has to be that date. But bearing in mind, I'd only even started this business in the September previous. And by that point, so in that time, I'd not only just manufactured a product, the molds and all the rest of it, I'd designed the packaging, I'd designed the website, I'd done, all my legal stuff, my trademark, I'd done just non-stop, flat out, learned how to run a business before February.
5 months, basically.
It was, it was insane when I look back on it. But it had to be that date. And I remember flicking the website on and being like, you wait for those orders. And at that point, I'd built up, a little following on social media, and they'd started watching my journey and things like that. So yeah, that's how it started, with just a small batch.
Yeah. So it was the people that had been following you. They were your first.
Yeah.
I think that's always a really good thing to do, because I meet some people there's some, that don't start doing any social till they've launched, but there's
no way I would have a business.
So much you can talk about, isn't there? Before the process, people want to know that. They love that.
And it all happens so organically, because I say, like, if you are looking to grow a business through social media, the key thing that people want to see is the journey. They want to know who the person is behind the product, because especially with a product like mine, there's a lot of stories behind why a parent initially would want the product, why they'd need the product, the situations they've been in, but also to know that it's a mum that has made this product and has gone through the same struggles. You end up relating. And then once you've bought the product, if you're buying a product, I know, I do have repeat customers, because they might want the next size up, or they might want the glow in the dark version now, or they
glow in the dark
I
one.
do indeed, in all sizes. They might need the XL now, because and some people, they literally will have a Whizzer in the car, in the bag, and their husband takes one to work. It's like it becomes a collection. But even for the ones that are just buying a Whizzer one-off, they don't just end that journey. They had the option to follow my journey and see how far I got. And when they're sharing my product with all their friends and they're posting about it, or just messages and things like that is all part of the journey. And without that, I definitely wouldn't have a business, for sure.
So anyone watching who's not yet started, just start posting, talk about it.
Yeah, just be yourself. Just honestly be yourself. And gosh, the amount of the behind the scenes things, and I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I filmed that. Oh my gosh. But it was such a small following, and it felt so intimate, and everyone was so supportive. They watched, they watched my son grow, for example. Like, they watched us pack those first orders and all the scary bits when I'd be in tears. I don't like showing them too much, but I'd be really stressed out trying to get whatever it is, whatever problem had happened, I'm like, how am I going to do this? Or when I had to sell my car, and I was like, I have to sell my car to get this shipment out of the port or whatever. It's things like that. And you would never normally see a story like that behind a product that you picked up off a shelf.
No, exactly. Big thanks to Vodafone Business for sponsoring this podcast as part of our business.connected campaign, which helps small businesses tap into the power of digital connectivity. With business.connected, get support on the technologies and digital business areas that can help you and your business work smarter. Grow online with expert guidance, peer insights, digital skills training, and smart connectivity solutions. To learn more, head to enterprisenation.com/business connected. And that's still part of what you were saying about network, isn't it? That is part of your network. They're people that are going to
100%.
buy. So that's part
It's not
of
even those. I've had so many customers that then turn into working with me. So they're as freelancers.
Okay.
So yeah, like they just get in touch and say, I think you could really do with, this is my skill set. I really think you could do well with my support on retail, anything it is, could be, literally anything. And someone might reach out to you and say, I can help with that.
So speaking of retail, you're in Jojo Maman Bebe, aren't you? I can never pronounce that. That's really bad because my partner's French and she's going to tell me off for that. You're in Jojo.
That was the first one. That was, retail wise. It's slightly different now that they've merged with Next. So they're only doing in-house products now. But yeah, Jojo was my first retailer, and that didn't actually come about in the way that you would assume. They actually reached out to me, and at that point, again, it was from a customer. So a customer who had bought the product happened to be a buyer at Jojo, and they were like, we need this product, and got in touch, and addressed the email to the sales team, and I'm like, I am the sales team. And at that point, I was so early on, I hadn't even had the product for a year.
Right.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Working out wholesale prices and retail prices and all of that. And that's actually where another customer came in, and she said, this is what I do. I structure prices, and I'm happy to look over the contracts you've got. And when she looked at everything that I'd done, she was like, I don't know how you knew how to do all of that, but yes, you've done it all correct. So I was like, phew.
Wow, that's amazing.
So retail is like something that I would have never gone into that early had that opportunity not come around, because even now I hold back so much because I've seen people go into retail whilst they're focusing on the B2C side of things, or the B2B, and adding in the extra channels, for example, too quickly, especially something like retail, where a retailer it's great, you secure Boots or Tesco's or whatever, and then they say, yes, and we need 100,000 units or whatever.
Yeah.
We need it by this point.
Yeah.
For a small business, you have to not only get that quantity made and manufactured by the date, but you also have to have the funds to do that. You have to have the logistics, the shipping, there's so many things that you're going to need in place. And just to be able to pay for that stock to be manufactured, that will have to come out of your pocket first, because of the things like the days that they have set in the contract when they pay you. So if you can't afford to pay your manufacturer, it gets very complicated if you don't have the money sitting there, and you could get into a lot of trouble. I've seen businesses fail completely because they'd manufactured too much stock and a retailer drops out, whatever, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, retail is brutal. You've got to be ready for it. So,
but it's the same concept really as TikTok, and I've seen probably more businesses fall through TikTok.
Oh, TikTok Shop.
Because it is this unexpected demand. You manufacture for the demand at that time, but something could happen. You could get shadow banned. I've seen that before, and your sales completely drop, and you've paid for all this stock you can't sell. I've seen businesses that happen to businesses as well. So everything I've done, although I sit there and I go, I should be in all these retailers by now. And I look at friends that are, and I look at, I always try and say, don't compare, but it's difficult, especially when you are in a lot of networks like I am.
Yeah.
And I'm around people that have built successful businesses. It's hard because you want to get to that point, but equally the only way I've been able to survive this long is by really a slow and steady approach and not jumping at every opportunity, and not, I push myself harder than anyone as it is.
Yeah.
So to add in things like extra channels and places is just like, that could be the thing that tips you over from being successful and having it all together, then losing it overnight.
That's a very good tip. On to the den. You entered that Dragon's Den. People may recognize you from the den. Why did you decide to do that, and like what impact did it have on the business?
Well, there's a few reasons. Number one, because my product is innovative, there isn't anything like it on the market, and I didn't have the funds to make sure that I could reach a wide audience, whether it be through Facebook ads or any other advertising. Or I didn't have any funds whatsoever. In the same way I built the business on social media, that can only take you so far. Even a viral video, it's still, you're not going to reach that level. Again, I'd listed on Amazon, which is again another way of getting a lot of eyes on your product. But if you're not able to explain what the product does and reach the types of audiences that you want to reach, then that something like Dragon's Den, if you get that far and you're aired on the show, you're reaching households directly of customers. And for me, when that show aired, the people that are watching at home, they could be looking at it. And although at that point I'd only filmed, because when I filmed it was very early on, I didn't have the adult version. So all you see is the kids versions. I did thankfully mention it quite a few times about the adult version coming.
Nice.
And thank God. But so for those people watching, they'll go, oh, my, the first thing they'll say is, oh God, yeah, that incident when their child, wet themselves, or that they were stuck on the train, and the incidents I hear every day about my wee stories are endless. So initially those audience members would think of that. They see the Whizzer, oh yeah, or they might just be heading into potty training or something. And then you get the people that are going, oh, an adult version, great, we're going camping next week, that would have been ideal. Oh, my dad's got prostate, he's up and down disturbing my mum all through the night, that's what he needs, a glow-in-the-dark Whizzer. And then it's like people start having that conversation in their head about all the times when they've been caught short on the M25 or whatever it is, when they've got that embarrassing story comes up, and they're like, okay, now I understand that, here's my pain point and there's the product that can solve it. And I don't think you can really do that with a product like mine in the ways that I would need it, unless it was something really big like Dragon's Den.
Yeah. So sales wise, was it big?
It was for me it was overnight.
Sold out, was it kind of?
The adult was sold out, and it was all hands on deck. Especially as you got to think, like, I was still working from home,
right?
So I know I documented one of the shipments that came, at that point it was the biggest shipment of over 1,000 adult Whizzers, the first ever shipment, and they filled every single part of my flat.
Right.
And even all around my son's bed was and it was like for about a week it was packing orders to get all of those Whizzers out, because when the show aired I didn't even have the adult Whizzer even to hand. I still had to manufacture it and finish the design of it.
Wow.
And somehow I managed to do that and get it out to customers within 8 weeks, which is insane. Like, I still don't know how I did that, but I did.
You did it. Amazing.
That's what we do.
Exactly. That's what you do. Well, for the final question, sadly, we come to an end, but it's a question so this season we're asking Enterprise Nation members to submit questions, and we're picking some, which is nice. And Louise Chandler from Soundbite Media, who is a fellow member of Enterprise Nation, has said, who, I'm going to add also, or what, I'll add that bit, who or what has been the biggest influence on you as a business owner?
So there's so many female business owners that I wasn't even aware of that I've come across over my journey, that at any given moment I look at them and I look at their story of success and I go, oh my gosh, if she can do that, then that means I can do that, you know, and it could be one part of their story. And things like, you know, I'm part of By Women Built, for example, that has a huge amount of well, obviously everyone's a female founder, but of super successful female entrepreneurs that of products that you would have bought without even realizing that a woman was behind it, because you just don't see it unless nowadays, you know, you see a logo on the packaging and it's got the By Women Built. Or ordinarily, there's products that I had in my house and I was like, I didn't know, and now I'm in a room with them. And every single time I hear a story, I'm like, wow, I had no idea that you had to go through that struggle to get the business to that point. So I don't even want to say one, because that would just be, there's so many different. So there's those ones, the ones that have got to their success. And then you hear about their story and how they juggled, you know, parenting and other life experiences with getting to that point. But also people just around me. So there was so many women around me all the time. And so even the lady who I said, who gave me the factory, watching her and following on in her footsteps, you know, I took her with me to do my Dragon's Den pitch.
Oh, nice.
And so the last time she'd been to the studio, she'd just pitched. And I watched how she'd done it and how strong she'd been. And I've watched her to now she's not got her business anymore. And watching how she does it, I'm just like, wow. And again, there's other businesses in our little group that we'd started and they've done Dragon's Den as well. And I look at them and, you know, we've won the same awards, for example, and things like that. And it's just like, wow, you know, just looking at someone, they don't necessarily have to have the same life experience as you. But, I mean, in my case, very few people will ever have the life situation I've had. You get elements of hope and resilience and from so many different people's stories. And that's why things like this, listening to podcasts, going to events, listening to the stories of people that have got there and what they've gone through is so, so important.
Amazing. Well, so you talked about people who've inspired you, but you've definitely inspired a lot of people yourself on this. So thank you so much for joining us on the Small Business Sessions.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You've been watching Enterprise Nation's Small Business Sessions podcast, powered by Vodafone Business as part of our business.connected campaign. For free digital skills training, head to enterprisenation.com/business connected or search business.connected. Don't forget to like the video, share it, and subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time.